searching it, obviously, when it leaves the scene of an officer who was shot here at Bayview Cemetery. Just to recap again, David, for any of our viewers who may be just joining us right now, we do know there was an initial interaction with Jersey City police officers near or in the Bayview Cemetery here at Garfield Avenue and Chapel Avenue. From that scene, 8 minutes later, about 2 miles away, there was then an exchange of gunfire and reports of a suspect barricaded where Tony Yates is at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Bayview Avenue. Right here behind me, you can see where the cemetery, the streets leading to the cemetery here on Garfield Avenue are completely blocked off. We are told that there is some type of search for evidence going on in this cemetery. Now, again, back to what you initially said, David, we want to know what type of criminal or activity may have led to this shooting. Again, sources are telling me that these were plainclothes Jersey City officers, so they could have been in a specialized unit, possibly surveilling any suspects in advance, or there's a possibility they may have witnessed criminal activity. Those are all the details we are still waiting to get right now from the Jersey City Police Department. As you mentioned, a number of agencies responding to this scene because when you have an active shooter investigation and two scenes involved, you definitely want to make sure that you secure all of the evidence, you secure all of the witnesses. You have technically about a mile, 1.9 miles of evidence, and possibly between the Bayview Cemetery scene and the bodega scene, and anybody who may have witnessed the suspects fleeing the cemetery over to the Halal Coasters supermarket. So that is one reason why the swath and the net has been cast so widely, so that investigators can make sure they preserve any type of evidence and any type of witnesses from this initial shooting scene to the bodega, where there is an interaction and a standoff right now with law enforcement officers. On this side of Danforth and Garfield and Chapel on Bayview Cemetery, as you can see, traffic is moving because the majority of the police activity and the barricaded streets are beyond the SUV in the street that you see right now, because that, again, was the route that the suspects took from the cemetery interaction to the supermarket on MLK Boulevard. So we want to know, obviously, what led to this initial interaction with law enforcement officers. We want to know how many suspects. Again, we're getting a number of reports. We want to know how many officers were involved in this particular shooting. We do know that at least it's confirmed that one officer was shot in the shoulder. But at this point, now that those two suspects, as Tony mentioned, have been neutralized inside of that supermarket, and they know that that U-Haul is related to the suspect that left this initial shooting scene going up to the bodega, there will be of particular interest to law enforcement officers to make sure they search that U-Haul for evidence to find out, again, what led to this entire bevy of activity this afternoon. David?
From the Met down 611 Broad Street.
There were people inside that supermarket that may have been injured in all of this, possibly workers,
not sure why it went around there. You can just go straight through. That would take off about 0.2 miles. Anything?
All we're being told right now is that at least one suspect appears to have been neutralized.
The William Penn scene and a bodega, which is 17 JFK Blvd. Scene, and anybody who may have witnessed the suspects fleeing from the cemetery over to the Holocaust supermarket, Market Street, also near Philadelphia. So that's one reason why the swath and the net has been cast so wide
Mailing any suspects in advance, or there's a possibility they may have witnessed criminal activity. Those are all the details we are still waiting to get right now from the Jersey City Police Department. As you mentioned, a number of agencies responding to this scene, because when you have an active shooter investigation and 2 scenes involved, you definitely want to make sure that you secure all of the evidence, you secure all of the witnesses. You have technically about a mile, 1.9 miles of evidence. And
so you have 1.9 miles of evidence. Man, I'll tell you, it's have we met Philadelphia? Wide is the path to destruction. 2.1 miles. Just go straight here. It'll cut away quite a few. You go to here. But see, you also, here's how the 1.9 miles is. It's from the Met. Have we met? That's where they meet. Go down here. Go all the way. They're going straight down here. But instead of making a left, they're going to make a right. They want to go completely around this entire building, City Hall, completely around it. You got to go around it and then go and meet up at Building 8, Chase Bank, 17th and JFK Boulevard. 17. So this is more like it. From the Met down Broad Street. It gave you, either way it's still the same crossing over, because once you get down here, you would be crossing over regardless. So it's still the same. And then going around it, William Penn, it's between 2.2 miles or 1.6 miles. Then when you add a destination, Liberty Square, or Logan Square, Academy of Natural Science. Is that where Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel went? Well, it couldn't be any more dead on with what the lady just said. I mean, 3 in a row in Philly, 11 minutes, 11 minutes, 1.9 miles. 1.9 miles exactly. What is that? Is that drawing a 6? Straight down, all the way around. Right past Love Park. John F. Kennedy Boulevard, 17th Street. 17 years Jonathan Kleck's been doing this. Suite 800, you got 800 feet to go from Corpus Christi when you cross over. And that police officer, what's his name, that got shot? Joseph Seals. He was doing this for 17 years as well.
From the Jersey City Police Department. As you mentioned, a number of agencies responding to this scene, because when you have an active shooter investigation and 2 scenes involved, you definitely want to make sure that you secure all of the evidence, you secure all of the witnesses. You have technically about a mile, 1.9 miles of evidence. And possibly between the Bayview Cemetery cemetery scene and the bodega scene, and anybody who may have witnessed the suspects fleeing the cemetery over to the halal kosher supermarket. So that is one reason why the swath and the net has been cast so widely, so that investigators can make sure they preserve any type of evidence and any type of witnesses from this initial shooting scene to the bodega, where there is an interaction and a standoff right now with law enforcement officers. On this side of Danforth and Garfield and Chapel on Bayview Cemetery, as you can see, traffic is moving because the majority of the police activity and the barricaded streets are beyond the SUV in the street that you see right now, because that, again, was the route that the suspects took from the cemetery interaction to the supermarket on MLK Boulevard. So we want to know, obviously, what led to this initial interaction with law enforcement officers. We want to know how many suspects, again, we're getting a number of reports. We want to know how many officers were involved in this particular shooting. We do know that at least it's confirmed that one officer was shot in the shoulder. But at this point, now that those two suspects, as Tony mentioned, have been neutralized inside of that supermarket, and they know that that U-Haul is related to the suspects that left this initial shooting scene going up to the bodega, there will be of particular interest to law enforcement officers to make sure they search that U-Haul for evidence to find out, again, what led to this entire bevy of activity this afternoon. David?
That supermarket, and again, maybe two.
It's not even real. So, stop marinating your man-meat and unholy ingredients that are harmful to your well-being. Body
is that at least one Jersey City police officer
so
has been
shot.
It could
17.
Be more. We don't know. It is a fluid situation, and we ask for your patience and
consider the U-Haul van a stolen van.
John F. Kennedy, Broad Street. I don't know anything about the Hoover Dam, but is there a B93 levee door that'll open up somehow and cause the Hoover Dam to overflow? Okay, it says here Joseph Seals was a veteran officer of 15 years. Another guy said that he was it for 17 years. Either way, 15 is still a number that's matching up with being in Philadelphia because of 15th Street. 15th Street. th Street. It's in between both. Right in the dead center of Broad Street. That's why they got to go around. They're going around it. So there is 5 men around that building. There's 4 down here protecting Willie with 4 eagles. So it's 5 men altogether. Married, father of 5. Joseph opening up the 7 seals. Audubon and Wegman Parkway. Wegmans, it's right around the corner from my house in Warrington. Sure looks like those crosses on the ground there, like it's upside down. Lake Peter, 185. God, Faith, Richard, Nose, Shiloh, Lion King, birds, eagles, it's all in one. Trinity, 3 in a row. All right, now he's going to talk about the neighborhood, you know, the real neighborhood, and how over the past few years it's been it's an up-and-coming neighborhood.
I think this is a neighborhood that's up-and-coming. This neighborhood has had challenges and has become a much, much safer and better neighborhood over the last 2 years or the last 3 years or so. So we can only say that folks that live in the neighborhood are supportive of the police department, and they were out there today showing their support wholeheartedly, especially for those officers that are won.
Detective Joseph Seals. Whoever's opening up these seals and your name's Joseph, you're going to get killed while trying to stop. Look here, Robin, all right? I'm just trying to tell you, if you try to stop these suspects, you're going to die. All right? So stop trying to open up the freaking seals. Why don't you guys stop having all these events and giving me details as to what the hell you're doing next? If you would stop doing that, I would stop doing this and I'd be able to rest because I'm tired of doing it. Just get it on already. Hundreds mourn for 2 Jewish victims.
To our viewers in the West, police in New Jersey say they found a pipe bomb at the scene of that death.
Well, good evening to our broadcasters from the east of New Jersey, as you're talking to us from the west. What did they find?
Shootout Tuesday. Newly released surveillance video suggests the shooters, a man and a woman, targeted a kosher market. Good evening to our viewers in the West. Police in New Jersey say they found a pipe bomb at the scene of that deadly shootout Tuesday.
Oh, pipe bombs. That's probably so they're going to continue on with their pipe bombs, is what it seems like the theme is.
Newly released surveillance video suggests the shooters, a man and a woman, targeted a kosher market,
Adam and
wielding
Eve.
Rifles as
Robin and Denise.
People on the street took off running.
Look, you see how he has their hand up like this, right? You know what they're really doing. It's not a gun, it's a camera.
Before it was over, 4 victims were killed, including.
Because that's how they're going to get me. They're going to show me with something like sticking at because my arm will be out like this, right, with the camera. When the camera's watching me record myself.
Including the wife of the store's owner and a police detective.
Joseph Seals. He is a detective. Joseph is definitely a detective. He just doesn't work for any Masons anywhere.
Are now scouring social media asking why the shooters targeted that store and if it was a hate crime. Don Daler leads us off tonight in Jersey City.
This video shows why so many people believe this was not a random attack. The suspects are seen getting out of their U-Haul van, firing past bystanders on the street directly into the J.C. Kosher supermarket in Jersey City. Watch again. David Lax is the man seen running away from the store. He spoke to us on the phone.
The way they looked at me, the way they started shooting, the way they came in, they came to kill.
Shots rang out for hours. This shows you just how ferocious the gun battle was. These are bullet holes from a large caliber weapon in this car. The window is completely blown out. See, look how many bullet holes. And this was the scene inside.
And this was done behind the scenes.
Dead, including Mendel Ferenz, a 31-year-old mother of 3 who owned a store with her husband, 49-year-old Douglas Miguel Rodriguez, who worked there, and 24-year-old Moshe Deutsch, a customer. Local Rabbi David Niederman broke down, describing the Jewish community's reaction.
Now, before he continues to read his script, right? How could you break down if you're reading a script? You can only break down if you're being real and you're not reading something.
How can we, as a community, as people, bear that?
The 2 suspects, 47-year-old David Anderson and 50-year-old Francine Graham, were also found dead inside the kosher store.
Just noting that Roman Catholic is right there on the path from this 1.9 miles of evidence from the Met building around the William Penn to 17th and JFK. I'll tell you what, aiming at the William Penn building, this thing here, I don't know what to make of it, really. Oh my goodness. Did I just see that? Frickin' Martin Luther King Boulevard Drive, Jr. I didn't even know that was there. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So the oval... I don't know, is that a man's leg? that a bone, a foot? Like a kneecap? Or is it like a missile? Going right past Love Park. Right to the Marriage of the Lamb. So not only is Martin Luther... Yeah, I know. Every major city has a damn Martin Luther King and a John F. Kennedy Boulevard clown, right? But, man, do they always have to be so perfectly in line with the Rodin Museum? The 9th District. Center City. This is right there with, right by the Schuylkill River. There's your Comcast building. Right there on JFK Boulevard. There's your Comcast Center right there. 17th John F. Kennedy Boulevard.
They're being treated at Jersey City Medical Center as we speak. Now, again, police are telling us this all appears to have started as criminal activity. No nexus to terrorism, but the question then goes, what was that criminal activity? More, police are telling us this all appears to have started as criminal activity. No nexus to terrorism, but the question then goes,
comes the bear
what
with the
was
3
that
ribs
criminal activity?
in its mouth.
More questions now than we have answers for at
Ready
this
for
point.
it?
But as we speak, what is known as a Bearcat, it's an armored vehicle, is moving toward, or if not yet engaged,
West.
looking to get inside that supermarket
I
to
bet.
really assess firsthand what the situation is. They know this much. Someone was in that supermarket shooting at police. Police, no word yet if they fired back at them. We don't know what kind of an exchange of gunfire occurred. We do know from the reports, though, that there was someone with a gun shooting out of that supermarket,
2,
and that caused that
3.
barricaded situation. At this point, though, somehow that situation appears to be neutralized. Is one that is at the center of all of this activity right now at 223 Martin Luther King Drive. It's the...
There is a St. Peter's Basilica, St. Peter and Paul, right down the street. And if you also notice that the zip code in Philadelphia is 191. There's already your 911 in there. 911. And the Marriage Center is 19107. And of course, if you want to call, the number, you can call them at 215-686-2233, 223 bypass. You can call them as you go around 611 Broad Street. I just noticed your stigmata's gone. Kleck, good for you. Looks better like that. But you're supposed to have a stigmata under your left eye, right? Like left eye? Lefty?
Very good.
And then he breaks it in half. And then when he does, it's like 17. 17 means a doer of that which is good. 15 means I do that which is good, which is inherently good, inspired and empowered by God. Now, again, I told you, the Lord told me to make sure you mark down the time that I closed the door, which was 11, destruction, 15, a doer of that which is good. Then the Lord told me, okay, here, let me do this. Then the Lord told me on the video yesterday of Denzel Washington to document right here how many thumbs up and how many thumbs down there were. He said you have to document there was 12,000 thumbs up and 494 thumbs down. See it right there? That was yesterday. Let's look at today. Today, there's 12,000 thumbs up and 495 thumbs down. But yesterday, when I screenshotted it, equalizer 2, these are the views, and it had 12,000 views, 494 thumbs down. This is a kid walking up to the Royal Postal Academy.
There's your 5
and there is the coat of arms again.
openings.
And there is an open door. The guy's going up.
There's the Kleck coat of armor. Your 5th, as they're playing the 5th trumpet, 5 hits to kickstart the second 9/11. I guess that's where to get I-95 at. 75, 62 north. But see, the architect's style is the Second Empire. Reference number 76001-666. Added to NRHP December 8th, 1976. So I wasn't even 6 months old when they did that. So as you look at it from the north side, William Penn, and you know how everything's mirrored image, right? Everything is mirrored image. Just letting you know the landmark. Just flip that around. It's your landmark. So all landmarks. So here's what they think they're going to do. They think that which shall force upon this nation. Oh, look at the seal of Joseph, seal of the city of Philadelphia. The Kleck coat of armor. But you notice how there's like an anchor here that is like the ship is sinking. The 7th story coat of arms.
And there is a coat of arms again. It's part of that same movie, whatever it is, Klaus or whatever it is. There's ultra high 0. The Lord told me go get black paint.
Yeah, he told you to get black paint to cover the ceiling, the skies, dark.
Paint the ceiling black and do it now. Ultra hide. Isaiah 26. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation is past. Shut.
Isaiah on the 26th of December. Shut yourselves in the chambers and go hide after Christmas, you freaking cowards. You know the saying, over my dead body. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not brought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. The dead men shall live together over my dead body. They shall arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust, for your dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. This is when people really wake up. When you see this happening. I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious as to where they're pointing next.
Looking for a little extra work today, maybe? And they're like, yeah, man, we'll come right over. I was like, what? And I just told Corey, I'm so exhausted. I don't think I can do it. And the Lord sends over 4 people to help me, knock it out. Yesterday, we busted it, knocked it out. I'll be done in a couple days. Yeah. So, and then I was talking to Corey yesterday on the phone about the folder 4 that I showed you here. And I said, well, it's kind of interesting. The last pictures the Lord had me put in this thing in folder 4, the last things he told me to put
was a tidal wave and New York being destroyed on the $100 bill. Here it is. So these are the last pictures he told me to put. This one, this, and this, and this being destroyed. And here's a picture of me doing the video at 11:15. And that means destruction and endure that which is inherently good. So anyway, so I'm telling Corey about that. And then I tell Corey, I'm on the phone, I go, look, I'm going to dip out, dude. I got to do this video for everybody, and I've got to get my mind in it. And I was kind of pulling in my neighborhood, and I hang up.
I have a little strength left. I can't. I don't know if I can do it.
On Corey, and then the Lord says, call Kat. She has a confirmation for you. I just hung up on Corey, and I'm just like, hey, Corey, I got to go. I got to get my head in the game, and then call Kat. I'm like, weird. So I called. Let's just get to it. So I'm going to go over some stuff.
Go over some stuff on the 26th.
The other day in one of the chat rooms where people get together and talk about this ministry.
Yeah, I know. 15 minutes. 15th Street. 15 minutes apart. 8:48. 9:03. And then a half hour after that. 9:33.
Story got started or something like that. It opened with letters falling, and they go into a container to the postman. Okay, so I'm going to open up this. So this is just the other day, the day before I get my
wife.
My message from the Lord to lock the door. So all these letters are falling into this container,
Washington,
you see that right there? What's on that container? That happens to be the Kleck coat of arms. It's a crown container, but you see that right there? What's on that container? I'll open up this. So this is just the other day, the day before I get my message from the Lord to lock the door. So all these letters are falling into this container, but you see that right there? What's on that container? That happens to be the Kleck
confetti, flames, sort of not what you're used to seeing. It dissipated after 2 or 3 seconds, and floating in the air were singed paper, computer papers, newspapers, whatever, office papers, just all singed and floating like semi-flaming, smoking confetti.
Message from the Lord to lock the door. So all these letters are falling into this container, but you see that right there? What's on that container?
Something. They were yelling.
That
and at 8:46,
happens
just a
to
minute
be
later,
the Kleck
I heard this double explosion, a boom, boom,
and
and then my peripheral vision
so
caught something in the window behind me. I spun around.
Well, he does have St. Peter up here as the This Is It 4321 gallery special projects of projections of the screencast up in the sky. And he's going to paint it black because this is the end, the Apollyon apocalypse.
I'm going to use two of these so we don't have to wait for it to buffer the whole time. I got a way around this. Okay, so.
Yep, because you can go way around the William Penn building. Go around it. Got a way around it.
Here's the Kleck coat of arms. Y'all have seen this in the past.
Yep.
And I'll just take it and I'll put it right there on that
To
thing.
the 16th.
So that is the Kleck coat of arms. It's a king's crown and a trumpet. So like announcing the arrival of the king.
On the 16th. Kleck would like to tell you where the event is coming next.
A letter to the angel of the church of Philadelphia. Saith he that is holy, he